Howdy peeps, hope we're doing well. Right, just a bit of a thing, something that's come up, and I don't really want to. I know a lot of content creators do that thing of like pinching little bits of other people's work or whatever, and then they'll not necessarily claim it as theirs, but I don't think they'll give credit where credit is due. And although Taylor the Fiend has got 219,000 subscribers, fair play to him, puts a lot more effort into the content, and like a typical slut, puts himself out there quite a bit. No hate, bro, and no homo either. Anyway, so the title of his video is "A Single Mother is Shocked That Men Don't Want a Relationship with Her." And I suppose it's nice for me to... It sounds so wrong. It sounds so wrong me saying it like that. Oh, fuck it, I'm going to carry on with that sentence because I've already started it. It's nice to hear a British voice saying it for a change rather than some entitled American single mum, right? And you'll probably think I have a serious disliking for him. It's like, no, it's just low-hanging fruit, man. In every sense of the word. Oh, yeah, I went there. But this is a thing, right? And it is subjective as well. I'm talking about low-hanging fruit in terms of like content, like creating content for you guys, so you know, or maybe you're new to the channel or whatever. Anyway, let's crack on.
What's the problem with dating as single moms? I don't understand the issue with these men.
Well, what's the problem with dating an average guy? We don't understand the problem with these average women. I mean, I'm just saying it's a valid counter-argument. But, carry on.
We're talking men in their late 30s, like 38, 39, and as soon as you mention you've got children, they don't want to fucking know.
Right, okay, so let's be real about this, right? Sure, a lot of guys, as they get older, if they plan and do things correctly, their value increases, right? If they do things correctly, they're not totally irresponsible and totally, you know, all of that, in terms of not making bad decisions with potential bad partners, 18 years of baby jail and all that sort of a thing as a minimum, and all that. So, in that sense, I suppose we become more attracted to... this is going to sound probably a bit wrong as well, but fuck it, it is what it is. You know, why do you think there is such a thing as like sugar daddies and stuff like that, right? They exist for a reason. Now, you could argue, well, they're just over-excessive and overindulgent simps. Maybe. But, either way, it's a transaction. They're giving these younger girls provisions or a lifestyle in some way, shape or form, buying them stuff, whether it's gifts or taking them out on the private jet, if they've got their own private jet, all of that. And that is in exchange for, I suppose, time. And of course, with time comes a air quotes relationship. Doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could just be like no strings attached, friends with benefits, right? Now, realistically speaking, you know, it's that thing of guys do tend to be more attracted to girls that are, or women that are younger than them, whether it's by 5 or 10 years or whatever. And I'm talking sort of like older guys in their early 30s, mid 30s, dating girls anywhere between 5 and 10 years younger than themselves. So early 20s, that sort of a thing, right? And with that, you know, guys also in that sense have the upper hand as well. You know, and whereas this is where body count comes into it. And obviously, if we're going to talk about single mums, it's like, well, you've already had 2 kids. So a lot of the time, we're looking at things from a rational point of view. So this young lass here, she's got a couple of kids. So if I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, right, so she's going to have to divide up her time with what she's going to spend with her children, and how much time she gets to spend with me after she's spending that time with the children. Another way to look at it is, not just myself, but any other guy ain't going to be a priority. And it's understandable. That is the catch-22 of single mums, and that is why a lot of guys won't date single mums. Well, they'll date them, they'll have a little bit of fun, but they're not going to take it seriously. A lot of the time they're not going to commit. The only time they might commit is if they are dating, maybe a bit of friends with benefits, and then they accidentally get pregnant. Yeah, accidentally. Yeah. Accident. You know, we've been reproducing as a species for who knows how long, and yeah, it just happened. Yeah. Anyway, so carry on.
And I don't get it. And then they go simping over 21-year-olds. And
oh, that's a bit of hate right there. That's almost music to my ears. Sorry. No, I'm not. But yeah, again, a 21-year-old chick has got a lot more to offer someone that has compared to someone that has kids. For starters, they haven't got kids, so they can dedicate more time to this simp, if you want to call him a simp. Not necessarily that the guy's a simp. I think she's just saying that because she's a little bit pissy that a lot of these guys in their mid-30s, mid to late 30s, early 40s, you know, if they've got the option of going for a young, it's what are you going to do, right? You want to go and get a new car. We'll use the car theory because a lot of people like it when you do that, or a motorbike, whatever, right? Now, you can go and get yourself a brand new car or motorcycle with little to no mileage on it at a relatively good price, right? It's still going to be a high price, sure. And I'm not necessarily saying that there's a price on this as there is later on, of course. But we'll get into that. But if we're going to compare it, you got the sort of newer model of car, which won't have as many faults, won't have as many dings or scratches, if you want to put it that way, you know, damage to the bodywork, gravity and age being a thing. You know, you've got a choice between that, or you can go for something that's got, say, over 120,000 miles, hasn't been regularly maintained. You know, it's got quite a bit of damage, it's got quite a bit of, it's going to need quite a bit of work, and there's a potential that the work that needs doing probably ain't going to get fixed, no matter how much time and effort and money you might put into it. But a car is different, let's face it, a car, you can bring its value back by doing that. With people, not so much, and a lot of the time, obviously, people are people and cars are cars and motorbikes and all that. But realistically speaking, you know, you're not going to... You can't fix someone that is already broken. You know, it's just going to be a potential nightmare. So not only are they going to have the potential issues, I mean, maybe crazy ex-baby daddies and stuff like that, not only are you going to have all that to have to deal with, you know, as well as, you know, being put on a time split thing as to how much time they can spend with you. Maybe they want to go out on a girls' night out, red flag. If they go out on a girls' night out, they're up to no good. I'm just saying. Right, because what goes on a girls' night out stays out on a girls' night out, and you don't get to hear about it. It's the agreement, right? It's what happens out there, and it got, yeah, same thing, right? But yeah, and
that's because they've got no responsibility. Free-spirited to get to do whatever the hell they want, and it makes them look good and feel better about themselves. There is nothing wrong with dating a single mother. Like, my kids are practically teenagers.
Well, good for you, but at the end of the day, you know, there's still going to be that division of not being able to dedicate the right amount of time, right? And then there's, like I say, the other potential issues. I'm not saying that they all have got these potential issues, but having kids does come with a lot of responsibility, and that you're then talking about a timeshare. And it's like, most guys don't want to fucking timeshare. It's as simple as that, you know.
Well, my daughter is. She's nearly 16. My son's nearly 11. If anything, I've got more free time now opposed to what I had 4 years ago.
Yeah, and in those 4 years, a lot has changed. There'll be more people coming into the dating market, therefore, more options for guys. And I suppose in this instance, less options for this young chick. You know, well, she's probably not that young. She's probably bit younger than me, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, still, like, do you want to subscribe to that? Like, oh yeah, I have to divide my time up. But okay, so right, actually, no. Thinking about this, let's be realistic about this. I'm just had a little brain fart go on. So this chick's daughter's like 16, right? Well, what happens with chicks when they're like, going through their teenage phase, they're over emotional, they're complete pains in the arse. It's like no one wants to deal with them, right? And that's before we go into the account that they might have potential damage for a decent father figure, role model not being around. You know, there's the potential for that. And then you're going to get, with that, all the drama that teenage kids bring with them. Into a relationship that you already have to split your time with. And it's like, is there any point? Like, this is why it doesn't happen. This is why it doesn't happen, you know. It's like, even I'm not saying that single mums are necessarily bad people. It's like, just look at the quality. Look at the quality of the relationship that you're not going to have because the time is having to be split up and divided. And you're still not going to be the number one priority. I'm just saying.
This whole stigma of like dating someone with kids has really, really got to stop. Like it's wrong. It really is wrong. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm 33 years old. I know what I want. I'm responsible.
Responsible. This is debatable, and I don't know anything about this chick whatsoever, but we're going to go down that responsible path. And like I said, I don't know anything about it. Let's be real. A lot of the time, these chicks have got a couple of kids by different baby daddies. How responsible was that? I'm just saying. Like, that's, you know what I mean? And there isn't another way of putting it without me coming across as being a knobhead or a bellend or a dick, however you want to say it or see it. It's like, there's the potential for two sets of dramas, two baby daddies, if that was the case, right? And then you're talking about responsibility. Well, the responsibility of children coming about, you know, is down to the women. They're the ones that have the final say as to whether even whether the child is born, right? Let alone if the father's going to be staying around, or if the father was just a player, you don't know, or the sperm donor, as a lot of the time they prefer to call a lot of men, call them sperm donors because they made a bad decision in some ways. It's not to say that all guys are good and, you know, that, oh yeah, they're just, these chicks are just mental and that they've made a bad decision. That being said, that is a thing as well. So as a guy, we have to weigh up what is good for us. And, you know, if the milk turns out to be sour, we ain't the kind of pussies to drink it a lot of the time. Says he who's been with 4 single mums and hasn't really had a decent experience with any of them. I mean, sure, up until a time, but then when I'm not happy kicks in, you're fucked. You're back to square one again. So it's not, I suppose it is a stigma, but it's a stigma for a reason. You know, it's like, we want to make good decisions for ourselves, and sometimes that includes not dating single mums. Something I could have done with learning a long time ago, but fuck it, you live and learn, right?
I do a pretty good job raising my children on my own. I've been single 4 years.
Okay, so not that I would necessarily advise, because this is something that some guys do, and I've been guilty of it myself, and whereas you kind of want to, it gives you a sense of purpose in like raising kids, and you think, oh, maybe one day I could have kids with this chick, you know. Well, yeah, it's a nice thought for the guy to have, but he's not going to be the one that has the last say in it. That's going to be down to her. And that's assuming that she ain't seeing anyone else. And then we've heard the stories about, they do, you know, some of these chicks, they do cheat on their fellas that are trying to provide and give them a decent life and, you know, teach, you know, be a role model for kids that aren't theirs. And these women are just throwing it about, and then, you know, they'll get pregnant, tell the guy that it's theirs, the fella that they're actually with, not the guy that they actually slept with that night, or whether it was a one-night stand, or whether it was a bit of infidelity going on, like, over a long period of time. You know, and then they'll take them to baby jail for 18 years, and it's like, well, what the fuck?
What's the problem?
Well, I think I've just told you what the problem is. You know what, I'm going to say thank you for Taylor the Fiend for sharing this video. I'm not going to take over his thing. I haven't watched that. Was just listening to the intro, and I thought, you know what, actually, I've not heard many British chicks whinging about, you know, there's no available men, or men don't want to date single mums. It's like, well, fucking hell, man, let's be real. You know, I don't want to be splitting my time up between, you know, kids that aren't mine, aren't ever going to respect me, aren't ever going to see me as any kind of father role model, you know, the whole "you're not my real dad" thing. And sure, this isn't applicable across the board. Not all kids are like that, and not all are brought up to think that. At the same time, if you're in a situation where you upset a kid enough, kids are going to say things that kids say, and that'll be one of them. And it's like, oh, so all this financial provision that a guy might have put into a family that wasn't his is just got thrown back in his face. And it's like, you think guys want to date that and make a relationship out of it? It's like, no. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no. Because there's no worse feeling than having that moment happen. And again, comes up with splitting up your time between yourself and, you know, a family that ain't yours, and all the baby daddy drama. And the potential for the chick being crazy, which is why they're in the situation that they were, or are, you know. And, you know, this chick, she's not unattractive. If she didn't have kids, I'd probably date her. If she was interested in me. But, you know, realistically speaking, you know, been there 4 times, not willing to go a 5th, you know what I mean? It's like, I've sat here and spoken to them on enough videos about sticking your hand in a fire and complaining that it burns. It's like, well, mate, do you know what I mean? So it's not a stigma. It's like you don't really give guys a lot of option when you've gone down that path. You know, and it's not to say that the chicks are bad people all the time. They're not. But, yeah. In the meantime, gentlemen, I suggest you all work on becoming better versions of yourselves in whichever way you see fit. Hopefully financially, and becoming a better person rather than, in some cases, a better manipulator, which is what a lot of these female content creators seem to be these days. You know, putting on a great big fucking facade. I'm not saying that's what this chick was doing. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I'm seeing more and more coming through my feed at the moment. I'm just sort of like, what the actual fuck? Like, really? Anyway. Thoughts, comments and opinions, feel free to drop down. As always, thank you very much for watching and listening. Until the next one, stay cool, stay free, have a fantastic weekend, and peace out.